Hi everybody, in this video I'm showing you how to use simultaneous equations to solve word problems. I'm assuming that you already know how to solve basic simultaneous equations. If you don't know how to do that yet, go back and watch the videos on substitution and elimination and then come back to this one. Let's start with this problem. Ashley received better results for his mathematics test than for his English test. If the sum of the 2 marks is 164 and the difference is 22, calculate the mark he received for each subject. Okay, the first thing we need to do when we're doing any kind of simultaneous equation word problem is to define our variables. And I'm going to do it like this. We say, let M be the maths mark. Okay, so I chose M for maths because math starts with M. And then let E be the English mark. That is called defining the variables, and it is the first step in pretty much every problem. Next, I'm going to go on and read the question. If the sum of the 2 marks is 164. Now, what does sum mean? Sum means add up. So if I add up the 2 marks, I get 164. How do I write that? M plus E, the maths mark plus the English mark, will give me 164. There we are. Then I need to keep reading. And the difference is 22. That's the difference between his maths and English. Now, notice back at the beginning, he said he received better results for maths than for English. So maths was the bigger result. So I'm going to put maths first. If I have maths, the bigger result, take away the smaller result, that gives me 22. Now let's just look at those words again. We had sum. Sum means add up. And we had this one here, difference. What does difference mean? Difference means subtract. Okay, so we've got M plus E equals 164 and M minus E equals 22. Now you can see here that this is a pair of simultaneous equations. And in order to work out the maths and English results, I just need to solve those simultaneous equations. Well, how can I do that? Can you see how I've got my variables lined up? I've got all my M's here in a row, and I've got all of my E's here in a row. Because they're all in a row, I'm going to use the elimination method. Now, I could also use substitution, but we can talk about that later. I'm going to use elimination, and I think to myself, what would happen if I added up these two equations? How many M's would I have? Well, M plus M will give me 2M, and I'll add up my E's. E plus negative E. E plus negative E. What will that give me? That will give me 0 E's. I've eliminated my E's, and I don't even have to write that down. I can just leave that there. I've eliminated my E's. Then I've got to add these ones up as well. 164 plus 22. That will give me 186. So can you see now I've got 2M equals 186, and that is an equation I can just solve. How do I do that? I'll divide both sides by 2. Then that will give me M equals 186 divided by 2, which is 93. Now I have to go back now. What is M? What did I say at the beginning? Let M be his maths mark. So I got, right, Ashley got 93 for maths. Now I still have to find out what he got for English. So I'm going to say here, let's look at this equation here. I've got maths plus English equals 164. So that's going to be 93 plus English equals 164. What can I do now? I can take 93 off both sides. Take away 93, take away 93. Those will cancel, and what are we left with? E equals 164 minus 93, which is 71. Okay, and I write that down. Ashley got 93 for maths, and E is in his English result, 71 for English. Now we can come back and check that. So it says that he received better results for maths than for English. Is that true? Yes, it is. The sum of the 2 marks is 164. So if I add those up, 93 plus 71, I should get 164, which I do. And if I take them away, the difference, 93 minus 71, gives me 22, which is exactly what it says. So I know that I'm correct. Now, I solved that problem using elimination. If I had wanted to use substitution, I would have gotten m plus e equals 164. Maybe I'd take e off both sides. So m equals 164, take away e, and then I can substitute that into another equation. That's a different method, but it would have come up with the same results. Here's another one of those. Press pause on the video and see if you can do it yourself. Remember, the first step is going to be defining your variables. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to write we've got m here, m be the maths result, and let e be the English result. Now make sure that you always write that, otherwise as you're moving through the problem it gets really confusing. Okay, hopefully you've had some time to have a look at this. What does it say? If the sum of his 2 marks is 163, the sum of them is 163, so sum means add up. M plus E equals 163, and their difference, what does difference mean? Difference means subtract, is 31. Now again, he's done better in maths, so maths goes first. Maths minus English equals 31. Calculate the mark he received for each subject. Now, what am I going to do here? Once again, I've got my variables lined up nicely, so I'm either going to add or subtract them. I have a look, what would happen if I subtracted them? Well, if I subtracted them, m minus m, I would eliminate my m's. But you know what? I think that I actually might add them again. So we go like this. M plus m will give me 2m. E, positive e, plus negative e. What will that give me? Well, plus minus together gives me minus. E minus e is 0. I've eliminated my e's, no e's left. Equals 163 plus 31. That's going to give me 194. Once again, how do I solve this? 2m equals 194. Divide both sides by 2. M equals 194 divided by 2, which is 97. And then I answer that first part in a sentence. He got 97 for maths. Have I answered the question yet? No. Calculate the mark you receive for each subject. I need to find out English. So let's put that into this one. I go m plus e equals 163. I know what he got for m. For maths, he got 97. What am I going to do next? Take away 97 from both sides. That will leave me with, well, they go, e equals 163, take away 97, which is 66. He got 97 for maths and 66 for English. And again, we could test that. So if I add them up, I should be getting 163. Is that true? 97 plus 66. Yes, that's true. And if I subtract them, I should get 31. And yes, that's true as well. So I know that I'm correct. Okay, here's another one. The language of this one is a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky just to work out what it's saying. So let's read it carefully. It says, to finish a project, Genevieve bought a total of 25 nuts and bolts. That means she might have bought 20 nuts and 5 bolts, or 10 nuts and 15 bolts, but altogether the total number of nuts and bolts, there's 25 altogether from a hardware store. If each nut costs 12 cents, so nuts are 12 cents each, and each bolt costs 25 cents, and the total purchase price is $4.30, calculate how many nuts and how many bolts Genevieve bought. Okay, so we want to know how many nuts and how many bolts she's bought. So I'm going to say Genevieve bought, I'm going to say that she bought N nuts and B bolts. Just had to choose some letters. I could have used X and Y there, but I'm just going to use N and B. Now, let's think about what information we're given. We're told that overall there are 25 nuts and bolts. So if you put all those objects together, there's 25 of them. So she's got N nuts, and if I add that to the B bolts, I'm going to get 25. So remember, that could be something like 5 nuts and 20 bolts, or 20 nuts and 5 bolts, or whatever like that. We don't know what that is. Okay, so next we've got to think about the price. So each nut costs 12 cents. Well, if she bought 2 nuts, she's going to have spent 12 times 2, which is 24 cents on nuts. If she bought 3 nuts, it's going to be 3 times 12, which is 36. Now, we know that she has bought N nuts, so it's going to be N times 12. They're 12 cents each, and she's bought N of them. So she spent 12 N cents altogether. How many bolts has she bought? Well, each bolt costs 25 cents. If she bought 1 bolt, that would be 25 cents. 2 bolts would be 2 times 25. 3 bolts, it would be 3 times 25, but she's bought B bolts. So it's going to be B times 25. 12N plus 12B, and it says that altogether she spent $4.30. Now, I'm working in cents here. So how many cents is $4.30? That's going to be 430 cents. Okay? So can you see here, we've got some simultaneous equations. We've got N plus B equals 25, and 12N plus 25B equals 430. I think I might solve this. First thing I might do is solve it through elimination. Now, if I'm going to solve this through elimination, I need the coefficients of one of these to be the same. So I need to have either the same number of N's or the same number of B's. Well, I don't. So what can I do there? How about I get my first equation here, this one. If I multiply that by 25, I will have 25B on each. So how about I say N plus B equals 25, and I'm going to multiply all of that by 25. That's going to be 25N plus 25B equals, 25 times 25. That's a calculator problem for me. 625. Here we go. Now we've got a pair of simultaneous equations that we can do something with. Well, I think that I'm going to subtract them. How am I going to do that? So that'll give me 12N take away 25N. 12 take away 25 will give me negative 13N. And I don't worry about that negative, that'll be fine. Next, what do I have? 25B take away 25B. I've eliminated them, haven't I? That's 0B left. Okay, what do I have next? Equals 430 take away 625. In my calculator, 430 minus 625 will give me negative 195. And again, I'm not worrying about that negative. Now I've got negative 13N equals negative 195. How do I solve that? Divide by negative 13, divide by negative 13, cancel. Negative 195 divided by negative 13 gives me 15. N equals 15. Then I go back. What is N? N is how many nuts she bought. So I'm going to write down here. She bought 15 nuts. Now I have to work out how many bolts. Well, I know that N plus B equals 25. That's from this one right up here. 15 plus B equals 25. 15 plus what equals 25? Take 15 off both sides, and we'll find that B is equal to 10. She bought 15 nuts and 10 bolts. 15 nuts and 10 bolts. Okay, I'll blank all of that out and do it again. We're down to she's bought N nuts and B bolts. Let's start with a total of 25 nuts and bolts. So what does that make? N plus B equals 25. And nuts cost 12 cents each, so that's going to be 12 lots of N. Bolts cost 25 plus 25 lots of B equals $4.30, which is 430 cents. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to solve this through substitution. I'm going to use this equation here, N plus B equals 25, and I'm going to say, let's take away N from both sides. So we've got B here equals 25 minus N, and I'm going to substitute that into the equation. So when it says B here, instead of B, I'm going to put 25 minus N. So watch this. I've got 12N plus 25 lots of B, which is 25 minus N, close bracket, equals 430. How am I going to solve this? I'm going to write that down, then I'm going to expand these brackets. 25 times 25, 625. 25 times N minus 25N equals 430. What do I do next? Collect like terms. 12N minus 25N. 12 minus 25 will give me minus 13. So at minus 13N plus 625 equals 430. What do I want to do next? Let's take away 625 from both sides. Negative 13N, they will cancel, equals 430 minus 625, negative 195. What do I do next? Just divide by negative 13. And that will give me N equals 15. Just like before, you see we've got the same answer. What do we say? She bought 15 nuts. And we need to work out how many bolts. Well, I'm going to use this one here. So we've got N plus B equals 25. 15 plus B equals 25. Take 15 off both sides. And again, B is 10. She bought 15 nuts and 10 bolts. Now, you may prefer elimination or you may prefer to do it like this with substitution. It doesn't matter. They will both give you the correct answer. Here's one for you to try. It's the same sort of thing. We've got nuts and bolts. Begin by defining your variable. Let N be the number of nuts she bought, or you could write she bought N nuts and B bolts, and then press pause and solve the problem. Okay, here's how I would do it. Rachel buys 30 nuts and bolts to finish a project. Well, that is N plus B, the total number of each, gives me 30. If each nut costs 10 cents, well, how much is she spending on nuts? If she bought one nut, that's 10 cents. 2 nuts, 10 times 2 is 20 cents. She's bought N nuts, which is going to be 10N. And each bolt is 20 cents, so that's going to cost her 20 lots of B. And the total purchase price, $4.20, I'm going to write that as 420 cents. Okay, what am I going to do next? I think first up this time, I might solve this through substitution. So if I've got N plus B equals 30, it's going to make N is actually equal to 30, take away B. True? And I'm going to substitute this in here for that there. So I'm going to go 10 lots of 30 minus B plus 20B equals 420. Expand. 300 minus 10b plus 20b equals 420. Collect like terms. Negative 10b plus 20b will give me 10b, positive 10b. So I've got 3a plus 10b equals 420. What am I going to do next? Take 300 off both sides. That will leave me with 10b over here. 420 minus 300 is 120. Divide by 10. B equals 12. So what does that mean? Start writing it here. She bought 12 bolts. Have we finished yet? No, we haven't. Well, how many nuts? I know that n plus b equals 30. N plus 12 equals 30. Take 12 off both sides. There we go. N is 30 minus 12, that's 18. She bought 12 bolts and 18 nuts. Now, if you had solved that through elimination, you may have multiplied all of this equation here by 10 or by 20 and then lined them up and dealt with it in that way. Okay, here's another. Determine the two numbers whose difference is 5 and whose sum is 11. Now this one here, we need to start by defining our variables. And I write, let the two numbers be A and B. Okay, so we've got two numbers, A and B. Now we're told that their difference is 5. What does difference mean? Difference means subtract. So I've got A minus B is equal to 5. Next, I'm told that their sum is 11. That means if I add them up, A plus B, I will get 11. Now you can see here we've got some simultaneous equations. Let's just add them up like this. I'm going to use the elimination method. A plus A is 2A minus B plus B. Well, that equals 0. I've eliminated that. Then what have I got? 5 plus 11 is 16. 2A equals 16 divided by 2. A is equal to 8. Now I want to know what B is. Well, I know I can use either of these equations here. I'll use the second. A plus B is 11. 8 plus B is 11. What's that going to be? What do I have to add to 8 to get 11? Well, simply take 8 off both sides. B is 3. So I've got A is 8 and B is 3. So I'm going to write the two numbers are 8 and 3. And we can just check. Their difference is 5. 8 and 3, yes, their difference is 5. Their sum is 11. I know I'm correct. Here's another. You might like to have a go at this one. The difference between two numbers is 2. Note here this word difference. If 3 times the larger number minus twice the smaller number is 13, determine the values of the two numbers. So for this, I'm going to start by having to define the two numbers. And I'm going to say, let the larger number be X, or let's make it A. And the smaller number can be B. So I've got A and B. The difference is 2. So difference, remember, is subtract. So A minus B is equal to 2. So I've got one equation there. Now I'm going to do this. If 3 times the larger number, well, 3 times the larger number, larger number is A. So 3 times the larger number minus twice the smaller number, that's going to be minus 2b, is equal to 13. Then determine the values of the two numbers. So I've got some simultaneous equations here for me to solve. I can either solve these again through elimination or through substitution. I think for these ones, I'm going to try elimination. If I do elimination, then the coefficients of the numbers need to be the same, and they're not here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this first one here and times it all by 3. So I'm going to say 3 times A is 3A, 3 times B, 3B, 3 times 2 is 6. Then I have here these two equations to solve. Now, there's the same number of A's there, so if I do a subtract here, that will eliminate the A's. 3a take away 3a is 0. Watch the next one. Negative 2b take away negative 3b. Minus minus is plus. Minus 2b plus 3b, that gives us 1b, is 13 minus 6. 13 minus 6 is 7. So I know that b is equal to 7. What next? Well, I know that a minus b is 2. That's this equation here. So a minus 7 is equal to 2. Add 7 to both sides, and I get a is equal to 9. So I would say the two numbers are 9 and 7. And let's just check. The difference between them is 2, is that true? The difference between 9 and 7 is 2. 3 times the larger number, 3 times 9 minus 2 times 7 is 13. 3 nines are 27, minus 14 does equal 13. So I know that I'm correct.
Okay, this one is a little bit different. A rectangular house has a perimeter of 40 metres and the length is 4 metres more than the width. Calculate the dimensions of the house. So for this one, instead of defining my variables, the first thing I'm going to do is draw the house. Here it is, and it's a rectangular house. Now rectangles have a length and a width, and this also is the length, and that is the width. Now we're told that it has a perimeter of 40 metres. Well, how do I get the perimeter? I add up the sides. That's going to be 2 lots of the length, as in this bit here and this bit here, plus 2 lots of the width, that one there and that one there. Now, I'm not here saying let L be length and let W be width, because we all know that, don't we, already? That's just standard stuff. So 2L plus 2 width is equal to 40 metres. And the length is 4 more than the width. So the length equals 4 more than the width. So it's the width plus 4 more. Okay, can you see that I can use substitution to solve this? So I've got the length equals width plus 4. So I can put that in there. So I'm going to go 2 lots of the length, which is width plus 4, plus 2 lots of the width equals 40. What do I do next? Expand these brackets. 2w plus 8 plus 2w equals 40. Collect like terms, 2w and another 2w gives me 4w. 4w plus 8 equals 40. Take away 8. 4w equals 32, and divide by 4. And w equals 8. So the width is 8 metres. Now I know that the length is the width plus 4. So the length equals 8 plus 4. The length is 12 metres. And so I'll just write that in words. Length equals 12 metres. Width equals 8 metres. So this one where we've got like a shape situation, and words like length and width, which are really common, they are the ones we don't need to bother defining. But all other cases we would. Okay, and here's another one. You might like to press pause and give this one a go for yourself. This one you absolutely will need to start by defining your variables. And can I suggest that you don't use L and O? We generally never use O as a variable because it looks like a 0, and L looks a little bit too much like a 1. So how about you use A and B, or X and Y or something? Press pause. Okay, so let's read the question. Mike has 5 lemons and 3 oranges in his shopping basket. The cost of the fruit is $3.50. Vula, with 2 lemons and 4 oranges, pays $2.10 for her fruit. Determine the cost of each type of fruit. Okay, so when I'm defining my variables here, I'm defining it about the cost. Let lemons cost, should we do dollars or cents? Let's do cents. A cents each, and let oranges cost B cents each. I could have done dollars, I'll just end up with more decimals and I don't really like that. Okay, let's make some equations now. If Mike has 5 lemons, how much do they cost? Well, if he had 1 lemon, that would cost A cents. He has 5 lemons, so that's going to cost 5A cents. 5A cents. He's got 3 oranges, and oranges cost B cents each. So that's going to cost 3B. 5A plus 3B is $3.50. Now, $3.50 is how many cents? 350 cents. Next one. 2 lemons and 4 oranges. Well, 2 lemons, that's going to be 2A. That's what they're going to cost. 4 oranges plus 4B is going to equal $2.10. That's 210 cents. Okay, now I look at this here. I've got simultaneous equations. I notice that I've got my A's and B's lined up, which tells me that elimination might work well. Now, if I was to do substitution for this, I notice how many coefficients they've got here, how many of these numbers. It's going to be a bit annoying to do substitution. So what I need to do is do some multiplication to make the same number of each. Well, I think to myself, if I multiplied that one by 2 and that one by 5, 5 times 2 is 10. That will make 10A. And 2 times 5 will make 10A. I'll have the same number of A's, so I can subtract them and eliminate the A's. Let's do that. We're going to write these equations out again. First one, timesing it by 2. 5A times 2, 10A. 3B times 2, 6B. 350 times 2, 700. Next one, 2A times 5, 10A. 4B times 5, 20B, 210 times 5, 1050. Now I've got the same number of A's for each. So I'm going to subtract first equation minus the second equation. 10A minus 10A, no A's. All my A's are gone. Do I even have to write that? No, I don't. Next, I've got 6B, take away 20B. 6 take away 20, use your calculator if you need to. That will give you negative 14B. Next, I've got 700, take away 1050. 700 take away 1050 on my calculator, negative 350. Am I worrying about those negatives? Not at all. Divide by negative 14, divide by negative 14, cancel. B equals negative 350 divided by negative 14 will give me 25. So what was B again? B was what oranges cost. Oranges, I can see now, cost 25 cents each. Now, how much do lemons cost? Well, just find one of my original equations. 5A plus 3B equals 350. 5A plus 3 times 25 equals 350. What is 3 times 25? It's 75. Next, take 75 from both sides. 5A equals 275, divide by 5. A equals 55 cents. So A is lemons are 55 cents. So what do we say? Lemons cost 55 cents and oranges cost 25 cents. And that's that problem done. Okay, last problem now. 1 red frog and 4 killer pythons cost $1.65, whereas 2 red frogs and 3 killer pythons cost $1.55. When you're defining your variables from here, let's say that frogs are F and pythons are P. Now, we calculate how much each type of lolly costs. So what do we say? We're going to say frogs cost, should we do dollars or cents? Let's do cents. F cents. Pythons cost P cents. Okay, we've defined our variables now. So we know that one red frog and 4 kilopythons. That's going to be one red frog will cost F cents plus 4 kilopythons. That's going to be 4 lots of pythons. Cost $1.65. Let's say cents, 165 cents. Whereas 2 red frogs, that's going to be 2F and 3 pythons, cost $1.55. There we are. Now for this one, I'm noticing here I've just got F there like that. We have F plus 4P equals 165. I'm going to rearrange this so I can do substitution, I think. So F equals 165, take away 4P. That's what F equals. Can you see that? I can put it into there. Substitution, 2 lots of F, which is 2 lots of 165, take away 4P, plus 3P equals 155. Expand out these brackets, 2 lots of 165, minus 2 lots of 4P, that's 8P, plus 3P equals 155. Collect like terms here, minus 8 plus 3, that's going to give me minus 5P. 330 minus 5P equals 155. What will I do? Well, I want to get rid of this here 330, so I'm going to take away 330 from both sides. And that will leave me with minus 5P. Don't lose that negative there. 155 minus 330 minus 175. Divide through by minus 5. And that will give me P equals 35. So what does P mean? That's the price of pythons. So I'll write here, pythons cost 35 cents. Now what about frogs? Well, I've got frog plus 4P equals 165. Frogs plus 4 lots of 35 equals 165. 4 lots of 35 is 140. Take away 140 from both sides. That'll give me F equals 25. So what does that mean? Frogs cost 25 cents. Okay, then we could just try that. One red frog, that's going to be 25 cents, plus 4 kilopythons, 4 times 35, and that equals $1.65, so we're correct. Okay, I hope that you're going well with those. What I'd recommend now is you go back to the beginning of the video and try each of them by yourself.